Tag, very nice, very evil.
Yeah, that's tag shit.
Free fall as I dive through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama, I don't really.
Oh, what up, Tag Nation? It's your boy ScooterRay here with another episode of NXT.A.G. And this is the go home show. This is our final stop before Stand and Deliver Saturday afternoon. And the show just starts off with the Fatal 4-Way. Like 3/4 of the match was already in the ring. But as you see, we have Ethan Page, Lexis King, Wesley, Eddie Thorpe. These four men are trying to figure out who's going to take on Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver. And I will say this. Seeing this match and seeing the four gentlemen that were involved in this match, this wouldn't have been a bad championship match. Whether it was for North American or in an alternate universe, the NXT championship. Because the way they built Eddie Thorpe over the last year, you know, Wesley had his cachet from the times he was, you know, coming up, especially with the North American championship and everything. Lexis King is always going to be that one, just not so much random addition to a match, but when you see why he's there, you're like, okay, I'm not mad. And then, of course, all ego Ethan Page. I mean, he does have star power. Let's just face it. But this was a fairly good Fatal 4. Now, there was a weird moment because Saints was out there to get to watch the action to see who his opponent was going to be. And there was a moment where Page pushed Thorpe into Saints. Saints was getting into Page's face, and then the ref throws out Saints. And I'm like, I get it, but it's a Fatal 4-Way. There's no disqualifications. There's no count outs or anything. So it's like, what's happening here? But whatever. The ending sequence of this match saw that, let me make sure I remember it right. Lee hitting the meteor on Thorpe. King picking up Lee, hitting him with the coronation, and then Page coming in and hitting King with the twisted grin, which, you know, his twist of fate. And boom, Page gets the dub. And he's in there celebrating, you know, like, hey, I'm in this thing. I got it. Saints circles around the block, hits that boy Page with a spear, and he was like, it's the absolutes time. You know what I'm saying? Damn what you was just doing. It's about me now. And that's pretty much how that match ended. So yes, Saturday, Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship. Absolute Ricky Saints versus All Ego Ethan Page. Next up, we did have a segment with Kalani, Soruka, Zarya, and Izzy. And they're basically talking about how, you know, how each of them qualified for the ladder match and how each of them are going to win. And then it kind of ended with Soul and Zarya basically was like, yeah, at the end of the day, we both win. And Zarya was kind of like, okay, I guess it's something like that, but you know, whatever. So now we get to our next qualifying match to see who's going to be the fifth woman in that ladder match. We get Tatum Paxley, accompanied by Gigi Dolan, versus Lola Vice. Funny enough, this match could have went either way because I can't remember when was the last time we saw Lola on TV. And Tatum has been kind of doing the tag thing with Gigi in between NXT and TNA. So, because they was even making mention of that on commentary that we've been seeing Tatum more as a tag wrestler than singles, but good back and forth action. Ultimately, it ended with Tatum going for her finisher. It was countered. She was kicked in the chest after she tried to springboard off the rope. Then she was kicked. Then when she got up, she caught that spinning back fist for Lola. 1, 2, 3. Tatum is out of there. Lola has now joined that 6-woman North American Championship match at Stand and Deliver. Then throughout the night, we get vignettes from Julia, Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vercure, and Jada Parker, basically showing, kind of like some of them was like their story, some of them was their journey, but basically these 4 women are laying claim to why they should be NXT champion. And of course, Stephanie Vercure is like, I'm not losing this belt, fam. I mean, she didn't say it in those words, but I ain't losing this belt, fam. Plain and simple. Now, I'm going to tell that this part's in order and out of order at the same time, but the next segment was last week. Ava was saying something about the other women who didn't qualify having an opportunity. So, they announced that officially on the Stand and Deliver pre-show, there's going to be, at first it was announced as a triple threat tag match. It was going to be the Meta Girls versus Fallon and JC versus, oh my God, I just forgot the other team just that fast. And then Roxanne comes up there and was like, oh, so y'all gonna just really leave me out of Stand and Deliver? And it was like, well, hey, why don't you just go find you a tag partner? And then I'll make it a fatal 4-way. Well, later on in the night, Roxy comes back and she was like, I'll just be my own partner. I don't need a tag partner. And Ava was like, ha 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 ha, very funny. And then Cora Jade comes in and officially it's going to be a fatal 4-way, and it's going to be on the pre-show. Once again, we got Lash and Jakara, we have JC and Fallon, Roxanne and Cora Jade, and literally I just forgot the 4th team. But the prize of these ladies is the winning team will face whoever walks out as women's tag champions on Tuesday on NXT. So that's what the opportunity is for. Then we get to our next match, which was kind of the main match of the night, so to speak. It was the 5-team gauntlet match to see who Fraxium was going to take on at Stand and Deliver. Hank and Tank started off with Tyson and Tyreek. I had to go do something, and literally within like a couple of minutes, Tyson and Tyreek lost. Like, by the time I started watching the match, I went out to my garage, came back in, and then the Culling was in the ring. And I was like, wait, Tyson and Tyreek lost that fast? And Mrs. Ladybug was like, yeah. And I was like, damn. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, wow. And she was like, I know. But yeah, the next team was Nico and Brooks. And, and at least this one was more back and forth. It was more back and forth. They was going at it. Ultimately, Hank and Tank once again gets the dub. Soon as the Cullen leaves, Tavion Heights, Miles Bourne kind of quickly get on in there, and NQCC's time. And once again, it went back and forth, but ultimately, Hank and Tank gets the dub. And then, of course, now Hank and Tank struggling. They struggling. And then, of course, they got to deal with Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. And it was like, oh, baby, here we go. Now, the Belly Boys went through it. They went through it because, I mean, they was already going through it in the other matches. But now they had to go through some hard-hitting boys with Inamura and Briggs. And they was doing it. They tried. They were doing what they needed to do. And ultimately, Briggs was caught in a roll-up. Now, originally, it looked a little weird, but the roll-up was legit. And 1, 2, 3. Hank and Tank gets the dub. Now, if y'all been listening to this show, I've been telling y'all Hank and Tank were next up. I've been saying Hank and Tank are going to be a surprise team that people are going to be like, let's go. Let's go. And here we are. Here we are. And later on, Hank and Tank was back there and Fraxium comes up and Nathan Frazier, with the attitude of the century, he was like, yeah, y'all won, but the problem is that y'all gotta go through us. And, you know, we don't lose like that. You know? And Axiom was like, yo, Frazier, like, relax. Why you being so mean? Like what's happening? And then it was like, well, it don't matter. Like, we gonna still retain these titles. Like, we ain't gotta worry about these two. I mean, these two been like losing. So why we gotta worry? And then Hank and Tank was like, well, you know what? We gonna have us a good match. We gonna have us a time. And when they tried to shake hands, Frazier walks off. And Axiom is left like, oh shit. Yeah. Handshakes. Let's go. And yeah, so Stand and Deliver, Hank and Tank, aka the Belly Boys, are going against Nathan Frazier, Axiom, also known as Fraxium. Then we get possibly one of the cheesiest situations, but it was kind of okay and cool at the same time, because once again, we are dealing with the fact that this is NXT. So I'm not gonna 100% knock it, because once again, this is NXT. But we get the whole D'Angelo family minus Tony D versus Dark State in the parking lot. And I think what makes the fight funnier was the fact that Stacks and Luca have crowbars, and they're hitting two of the members of Dark State. It is like, the way they are hitting these guys, I don't think there'll be much fighting back. That's just me. Because you getting hit kind of upside the head, in the back, in the arm with a crowbar, I don't think you're going to kind of be just like, yeah, I still want to fight. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I could be wrong. I've never been hit with a crowbar. For those who's been hit with a crowbar, y'all let me know. Let me know. But it kind of spills all over. Now, I know y'all thinking, wait, there's 4 members of Dark State, and you just said Luca and Stacks. Well, Luca and Stacks had some other people from the family. You can't see the quotes, but they were there. But yeah, and they got beat up kind of quick. So yeah, so it was kind of Luca and Stacks versus Dark State. And I guess due to the fact of them having crowbars and things like that, they were holding their own. Like, it wasn't one of them, you know, they just got beat up. It was, you know, They tried, and ultimately, what ended up happening was they were kind of taking out other people in the group, like Luca and Stacks kind of double choke slammed Cutler into a table. They speared Osiris through a wall. So it was really more Dion and Saquon fighting Luca and Stacks more than anything. And they slammed, I think it was Stacks on the car, or was it Luca? It was Stacks. And then a car pulls up, and then it's Tony D with another crowbar. Like, they just got crowbars on deck. And once again, I have never been hit with a crowbar, but I'm just saying, if you getting thwacked with a crowbar, I don't think you're going to necessarily be trying to fight back. So as Tony D hitting him with a crowbar, we see police lights and sirens, and Saquon is 12. So Dark State runs off because Cutler kind of came back. As far as we know, Osiris is still speared through the wall. We have not seen Osiris. So Osiris is still through the wall. I'm just saying that if we're being honest, so Osiris is kind of through the wall. Cutler, Saquon, and Dion run off, and then Stacks is like, Tony, we got to go to the cops. And Tony was like, I called them. I was the one that called them because you out here making plays. Stacks, what you doing? Like, why are you out here doing things that you shouldn't be doing? And he was like, yeah, I think you're right, Tony. Heel turn is coming. Heel turn is coming. Oh, Gigi and Tatum were the fourth team in that contenders match. By the way, interesting. But yeah, so this is happening, and he's basically saying, we have to do this the right way. We have to do this, and we're gonna do it on the big stage. It's gonna be me, you, and Luca versus 3 members of Dark State, 6-man tag, and stand and deliver. The underboss is betraying Tony D. I've been saying it. It's going down. Now, the funny part about the fight is Saquon screaming at 12 and they run off. You motherfuckers work there. You work there. You're not intruding. You're on contract. Y'all beat each other up for a living. So even if the cops do show up, you have a right to be there just as much as the D'Angelo family. But once again, I get it. I get it for the sake of wrestling. But y'all work there. Why are you running? Wrestling. I didn't talk about this so long, my notes didn't cut off. Oh, like I mentioned before, Roxanne, Cora Jade versus Lash, Jakara versus Tatum and Gigi versus Fallon and JC. And the winner gets to fight whoever comes out women's tag champions next Tuesday on NXT. That was the official match. That was kind of like somewhat the next segment. Next, there was a part where they was like, okay, who's gonna be in the last qualifying match? Due to the damn graphic, they ruined it before we could see who it was. Because Carmen comes to the ring, and the graphic that tells you what match is next ruined the surprise. But the show comes back, and it's Kale Dixon, Uriah Connors, both talking to Andre Chase. And Chase is like, look, I don't want to do this because I don't want to ruin your lives. Then we hear the voice You Ain't Ruined My Life. We got the returning T.A.G, who we have not seen since the Chase U split up. And T.A.G was like, you didn't ruin my life. I'm thankful for my time at Chase U. And they was like, are you gonna join? She was like, nah, that chapter is over with. But hey, Mr. Chase, do it. Do it basically for the new generation. And her music hits. She's Carmen's opponent. They should have went ahead and just made this just a complete squash match, because Carmen lost. And they should have just went ahead and just made it a squash match, because yeah. And I haven't watched Evolve like that, but does Ashanti Lee Adonis still wrestle? Because ever since him and Carmen quote unquote got together, I haven't seen him wrestle. Yeah, let the music play for a second. But yes, so officially at Stand and Deliver, we have T.A.G versus Lola Vice versus Zarya versus Soul Ruka versus Izzy Dame versus Kalani Jordan in a 6-woman ladder match to determine who will be the new Women's North American Champion. Now, I remember last time it was decided in a ladder match when it first debuted. Kalani Jordan got it. But I don't know. The way everything is kind of looking, maybe T.A.G might be that one to go ahead and get that championship. But we'll see come Saturday. In our last segment of the evening, we have the triple threat. We have Trick Willie. He comes out there. He's spitting what he's spitting, talking his trash. Big Oba comes out saying what he's saying. And then, of course, we have Javon. Now, Javon's promo was a little run on. Maybe he was trying to formulate what he was trying to say and what he was trying to get, but it seemed like he was almost kind of word vomiting. But hey, once again, it's NXT. We're learning to be superstars, but ultimately, it leads to a fight. You know, Oba was like, "You ain't nothing but a little boy. You nothing but a little kid, Javon. Trick, I'm getting tired of you talking all that shit." It's going down. And I'm gonna prove to y'all why I'm the ruler. And when the brawl started happening, both Trick and Oba was just throwing Javon out the ring. They was like, just move your little ass out the way. Well, he's not so much little in height, but just move your little young ass out the way. And then they did it again, just threw his ass out the ring, and then Javon came back, hit them both with a springboard cutter. And he was the one left on top. And of course, he did the one thing you should not do. Grab the championship. He grabbed the championship, held it up, and it was like, no, Javon, no. But I am excited for Stand and Deliver. Of course, I'm excited for WrestleMania weekend, but I'm excited for Stand and Deliver. Stand and Deliver is about to deliver, pun intended. And I stand on it. Bars. Because if you're looking at the match, like I said, the pre-show, you have a fatal 4-way women's tag match. Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez versus the Meta Girls versus Fatal Influence versus Tatum and Gigi. On the main show, you got Ricky Saints defending the North American Championship against All Ego Ethan Page. You got the D'Angelo family versus Dark State in a 6-man tag. You got the women's North American Championship ladder match. Once again, Kalani Jordan, Soul Ruka, Zarya, Izzy Dame, Lola Vice, T.A.G. We're going to have a fatal 4-way for the women's championship. Stephanie Vercour defending against Julia, Jada Parker, and Jordan Grace. And then the main event, Big Oba defends against Trick Willie and the young OG Javon Evans. listening to that card sounds fire. And not only listening to, and sorry. Hank and Tank versus Fraxium. I love how there's only one singles match in the whole night. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page is the only one-on-one contest this whole night. Everything is either a multi-man, multi-woman, or tag team. And I can't wait because I'm consuming a copious amount of wrestling this week, especially this weekend. But whether you loved it or hated it, don't forget to rate it, thumbs up, thumbs down. Shout outs to my tag brethren. Lip Dizzle will be defending his championship against the Forbidden Door Juggernaut 097 this week. And then you have myself versus Jaeger versus Leo to determine the new technical champion. That was a secondary title that has been introduced into the fold, and the first champion will be crowned after this weekend. Yeah, it's a lot happening. WrestleMania weekend, a lot of content. But make sure y'all subscribe, tag that notification bell so you can be notified for any and everything that gets posted on the channel. Enjoy the wrestling this week, y'all. This is a rarity. You know, in the words of Meek Mills, I pray for times like this. We get wrestling for like 8 days straight. Raw yesterday, NXT today, Dynamite tomorrow, Collision Thursday, SmackDown in the Hall of Fame Friday, Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania Night 1 Saturday, WrestleMania Night 2 on Sunday, the Raw After Mania on Monday, the NXT After Stand and Deliver on Tuesday, and back to AEW Dynamite on next Wednesday. Oh yeah, it's real in the field. Thank y'all for tuning in. Love one another, love yourself, take care of one another, and take care of yourself. And until next time, I'm warming it up, but you can't see it. And hit y'all with this too sweet. Hit you with that bada 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 boom. Thank y'all for tuning in. And until next time, don't forget to tag out. Peace.